Hedges are a classic garden feature. They're both beautiful and practical. Use them to break up a boring wall, create definition between garden areas, and they're perfect as an alternative to a fence, giving you privacy and separation. Some hedges do happen accidentally, but generally you'll find the varieties used have been carefully selected. They'll often have small foliage and then they'll go nice and bushy after they've been pruned. The reason they do this is that when pruned, they'll throw out multiple shoots below the pruning cuts. That means that a well-pruned hedge is a dense hedge. It wasn't that long ago that the only way to prune a hedge was the seriously laborious way, with hand clippers. Now power-driven clippers have turned this once dreaded task into a process that's fast, easy, efficient, and dare I say, enjoyable. Here are a few of my tips on getting the most from your hedge. Battery-powered equipment like this 82-volt trimmer have made the hedging process much easier, as the tools are lighter, quieter, and require a lot less maintenance. You'll even find clever features such as this anti-jam function that make their use even easier. As easy as they are to use, that doesn't mean you can forget about stresses and strains while you work or safety gear. As a minimum, you need some quality eye protection, a good pair of gloves and closed-toe footwear. If you're using petrol-driven gear or trimming for an extended time with battery gear, then add hearing protection too. Once you're trimming, you need to be methodical and avoid overbalancing and overreaching. Stand with your feet comfortably apart and position yourself around ½ a metre from the face of the hedge. For the most part, use a wide pendulum-like motion as you trim across the face of the hedge, ensuring that the blade is kept parallel with the face of the hedge. You're better off making multiple passes, taking a little at a time. You can always take more off, but you certainly can't put it back on. For areas lower down, adjust your position so that you are standing sideways to the hedge, and then adjust the trimmer handle to make it more comfortable. Use an up and down sweeping motion. It's tempting to just turn your trimmer blade down, but it's very hard to stay accurate when you do that, and the last thing you want is lumps and bumps and undulations in your hedge. For the top of hedges up to shoulder height, just adjust your handle, and again, a sweeping motion to get a consistent finish. The top of a taller hedge can be tricky. You don't want to be trying to trim anything you can't see, so either set up a stable work platform or use a pole trimmer that allows you to reach higher while having a better view by stepping back. As with any power tools, give yourself a break of a few minutes for every 15 minutes of run time. A few tips on shaping your hedge too. Depending on the plant varieties used and the aspect, to keep your hedge dense from top to bottom, it can be a good idea to kick the bottom out a little bit more than the top so it gets an equal amount of sunlight. If you want to shape a hedge or shrub, then you need to start early. Many plants you buy for hedging or topiary will have been pruned to form from early on. Getting a curve into a hedge or a freestanding shrub is actually relatively easy. You can get it started by cutting a template out of heavy-duty cardboard into the shape that you want, and then just trim around the outside of that. From that point onwards, all you need is a good eye and a steady hand. For hedges where accuracy is called for, you can even set a string line as a guide. Just make sure it's at least 10 centimetres clear of the area you plan to trim. How often is the next biggie? That's always going to vary with the variety, time of year and local conditions, but the simple guide is trim as soon as it starts to look shaggy. And some last tips for having the ultimate hedge. When you're regularly pruning plants, you're putting a lot of stress on them because you're forcing them to constantly put out new leaves. This means that you really need to make sure that your hedge is fed regularly and that it's kept well watered when things get dry. Now, of course, never put your trimmer away wet or with messy blades. Give the blades an occasional light squirt with a suitable lubricant, and always store with the blade cover on. And that's about it. Happy hedging made easy.